I have found the Argentinian Amsat satellite path prediction page quite useful for my low Earth orbit satellite operations. I use it for manual Doppler tuning in my IC2730A radio operating indoors with a fixed elevation azimuth Moxon Yagi. The site was originally maintained by LU7 Alpha Bravo Foxtrot and had become defunct when the domain name expired after he became silent key. LU for CJP, who is keen on maintaining the great legacy of his father LU7ABF, has kindly renewed the domain and the site is functional again. There is also an HTTP site which we were using earlier but will not be covered now as access is likely to be prevented by many modern day operating systems. Now you can see that in the website this icon pops up and you can see an audible alert. This is the beep mute which you can click if you don't want to be disturbed by the audible alert, and this icon will come and you can start seeing the Doppler. When the satellites are in range, this is a satellite image when you point at the satellite, and when the satellite is in range, the color changes. Usually the display is background green and it changes to orange when the satellite is in range. You can see that at this moment I am just switching off that satellite images because to avoid distraction, and I'll also switch off the alert to avoid distraction during the demo. And when the satellite is in range, these are not satellites which I use usually. AO7 is there, which many of the mid-latitude people are using. It's not accessible for me and I have not tried that. I try usually ERIS, that is International Space Station. You can see that there are so many icons shown here which we'll come to soon. When ERIS is in range, that's my favorite satellite here, it's easy to operate. This is for ISS STV, but that's only when there is SSTV transmissions. So you can try the next option. And next option, this is the FM voice repeater which I use usually. There is also another option which is the APRS, which I am yet to use. I'll come back to this. The uplink is displayed here, downlink and beacon. Here downlink and beacon are the same. For some satellites it may be different. Now when ERIS has been clicked, you know the time in which acquisition of signal is available, that is in another 1 hour and 8 minutes is shown here. Current altitude is shown here, and the distance from my location is shown here. And when the satellite is in range, this clock face will start moving. It will change the color also. Azimuth and elevation are also given. Elevation is negative because it is below the horizon for me. Then whenever I start operating this on a new browser, the first thing I do is scroll down and set the grid locator. The grid locator which was being shown is not that of my location, but it was of probably the internet service provider. I'll type in my location and then I'll use resolve and set. Then that will show the timings for my location. Now you would have noted that there is some change and the satellites which were in range are not in range now because the location has changed. These are other satellites which I used to operate. This is IO86, the Indonesian satellite which has a trans-equatorial orbit which may be accessible on some passes for us in VU-LAND. This is the PO101 Philippines Oscar. I have occasionally accessed it. The difference is that it is a UV satellite. You can see that uplink is FM on UHF and downlink is on VHF. The CTCSS tone, access tone needed is also shown there. Then you can click here and go for the SatNox database also. There is a help page available here. It is available in multiple languages for the benefit of the users, and you can see what this application does. I have already set the location, and there's a azimuth elevation graph, frequencies known, and path and coverage is there, and time zone is there. And if you click on sun, it will show day and night line, and for the moon it will show the EME frequencies, which I have not done because I don't have facility for EME or earth moon bounds. Then there are various other things. Satellite approaching will give a beep alert, as you have seen earlier. Then there is no need to update couplers. Most active satellites are provided. Additional satellites can be added or deleted, which I have not done. And this also I have not used, pass.exe. You can download it. If you click it, you can download, and it runs with this, and it will control the rotor and rig Dopplers directly. As my radio doesn't have cat control option and I don't have a rotator, I have not used this. So I have not used many of these help facilities. So I will not be going into that in details. And these are the satellites shown. If you want to reduce the clutter on the screen, you can go here. You can choose SSB and linear satellites, SSB and FM, FM voice, FM digital, telemetry only, weather, and satellites in range will be in yellow color. If I click that, you can see that. Then if you want to show all 242 satellites, you can click here. I usually don't meddle with all those things. What I do is I look at this active satellites currently in range, and when the satellite is one which I can operate, I operate only FM satellites because my radio is FM only. I'll just click there, and then you can see here I'll demo with an example. This is AO40 is not useful for me now. It shows the time of the pass, orbit number, and elevation. It's a high elevation pass. If it was space station, I would have been very happy and went out and worked that satellite. This one is not useful for me. Just for demo, you can see that the color of this display has changed. This is now yellow. Earlier it was red, and it will slowly move along the clock face in the direction of pass of the satellites. This, you can see, it is non-operational satellite. Now I have reduced the clutter on the screen by clicking on FM voice satellites, because that's the only set of satellites which I use. And you can see the FM voice satellites in pink color on the screen. IO86 will be here in a short while. I can show the tracking of that. And the location of the amateur radio on International Space Station, ISS, the SARIA module is shown here. CSS is shown here. And you have the sun over here. If you click on sun, you know that dark and gray zones are shown. You can see that this is my location, and I am almost now in the twilight zone, gray line propagation. Moon also is seen. If I click on the moon, That is the EME outline which we mentioned earlier. I am not going to go into it. I have unclicked both of them. Then this is the location of my home. I'll click on IO86 now. So there are frequent passes in my region because it's a trans-equatorial orbit. It doesn't mean that I'll be able to work all those passes, as activation occurs mostly when the satellite enters the domain of Indonesia. But some of the passes, towards the end of the pass, we may be able to access, and sometimes during the expeditions in Indian Ocean, they activate early also, so that sometimes it is possible to access. But routinely, not all passes are accessible. Then all passes do not have facility for voice transponder. They have additional emergency communication modules, telemetry modules. Then that satellite also gets activated specifically over Brazil. There is another option for that. So all those can be considered for those who are interested in operating IO86, only for those near the equator, because towards north or south, far away, it will not be accessible because it has an orbit in the trans-equatorial region. You can see it is going near the equator. Now you can see that IO86 or LAPAN A2 is in range, and the distance from my place is shown as 2400 kilometer. Maximum elevation during this pass will be only 18 degrees. But some of the passes we get better passes as well. I worked this satellite a few times, especially when it was being activated earlier, when the TCA, that is time of closest approach, was active. I could easily access this satellite. The satellite has power output of 5 watts like International Space Station. So it is one of the satellites useful for beginners located near the pass, not for those who are either too north or too south. You can see the trans-equatorial pass over here. You can see the live Doppler tracking going on here, and this is the CTCSS tone. It is not the 67 Hz of Aris, it is 88.5 Hz for LAPAN A2 or Indonesian Oscar IO86. You can see that elevation is being shown here, and azimuth is shown here. Both have changed color as the satellite is in range currently. Altitude also is shown here. You can see that as the satellite approaches my location, it is nearing my location, the distance is coming down. It is only 1900 kilometers now, and the call sign of the satellite is also listed here. And here also it is written tracking IO86, and then azimuth is there, elevation is there. And as I already mentioned, if you use this exe file, it can control the rotor and the rig frequency, which I have not done. I don't have facility for that. Then it is also mentioned that it controls SDR USB dongle frequencies to set up location. Do it on Internet Explorer. That also I have not tried. I do have an SDR dongle. Maybe I'll try it sometime. Though the website shows changes in frequency very minutely, I don't do that because the lowest step in my radio is 5 kilohertz. And what I do is, when the displayed frequency is 2.5 kilohertz away from the frequency which is shown in my radio, I change the step in 5 kilohertz. I know that there are radios which can change at 2.5 kilohertz, even handheld radios are there. Then of course the high-end radios like 9700 can be directly cat controlled using the software. Then exact frequency will be shown. There are also radios which automatically track the Doppler depending on the signal received. That is all beyond my purview. Then for UV satellites, most often what I do is that as my setup is limited, I don't change the um, not the UV satellites. I was mistaken by this U. This is a VU satellite, uplink on VHF and downlink on UHF. As the change in frequency, magnitude of change for VHF is much less, I don't alter the uplink frequency. I just keep it on the central frequency. Most often I operate only International Space Station, and that too only a limited part of the pass near the time of closest approach. That's why I can do that. But if you are able to track well, then you can change both uplink and downlink frequencies in your radio, which can also be done automatically if the radio is CAT controlled. You have seen that it has now passed the time of closest approach in my region, and it is going to enter the region of the parent country, that is Indonesia. For easy reference, the important satellites are listed here. You can see that ARIS is listed here, uplink and downlink frequencies, and AO07, Jordan Oscar, JO97 is listed here. That's a linear satellite, USB, and AO73, RS44, it's a popular linear satellite in this region, SO50, Saudi Oscar, FM satellite, PO101, Philippine Oscar, the frequencies are listed here, AO91, which is not always functional during daytime. Many of the times it may be functional, sometimes it may not be. IO117 was the medium Earth orbit, which was very popular, but it is not functional now. IO86 I already covered. Coming back to IO86, which we were tracking, you can see that it has gone far beyond my region, and it is almost near the time of loss of signal. The loss of signal is at 6:35. Now it is almost setting. That's why this blinking icon has appeared. Loss of signal. I am able. Yeah, I have lost the signal. That is why the color has changed. The display has changed. Everything is different when the satellite is not range. Come and look here. The satellite has gone beyond the horizon. There's another pass coming up at 8 o'clock. But that's a bit away. I'm not going to check that. Just showed this for a demo. This is only a brief review of the site. There are many more options there which I have not explored, which you are all welcome to explore and tell me also, so that I can be updated better.